Swifties need to wake up to mass migration and radical Islam in the wake of the thwarted terror attack in the Vienna Eras Tour concert. Alex Clark is the host of the Spillover with Turning Point USA, and she joins us now. So, Alex, I'm a fellow Swiftie, but for those that don't know, what happened last weekend and why did her show get canceled?
Well, she actually had a couple teenage boys who were members of ISIS try to bomb, it sounds like, her show. I believe that there were knives, there were bombs. They were ready to basically kill as many people attending Taylor Swift's concert as possible. So they ended up canceling her Vienna shows entirely. And she didn't really make too much of a statement about it, which was really surprising to me. But it was due to young boys who were members of ISIS, which is quite interesting.
Luckily, the attack didn't take place, right? But if it did take place, and this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek question with the real question afterwards, what do you think the legions of Taylor Swift fans would have done to people like ISIS and Al-Qaeda? But more seriously, how do you see this affecting elections, and how do you make sure that those people understand what actually almost did happen and why it almost happened?
Well, I posted some tweets that ended up going viral on TikTok because people are picking up on that. I'm trying to explain to Swifties that this is extremely serious. The fact that ISIS is growing in popularity and now they're making brazen attacks like this on Taylor Swift and her fans, that's their message of saying this is the biggest gesture that we could make that could show everybody how much we hate America. And it's policies like the Biden-Harris administration who embolden behavior like that, who embolden terrorist groups, make excuses for terrorist groups, also fund terrorist groups like ISIS. So that is a huge thing to think about when you're talking about who we should vote for, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Under the Donald Trump administration, we saw ISIS basically be completely shut down. We saw extremely strong foreign policy. So that is something. Sorry, my earphone fell out. That is something that we really need to consider.
Well, when you look at it, whether you're a Swiftie or not, Gen Z needs to move over to Donald Trump. So what's the message for you to relay to all of the young people out there that are listening and saying, okay, how do you get from where you are to voting for Donald Trump?
I think it has to do with, I mean, I'm trying to appeal. These are young girls who vote with their heart. That's typically how liberal voters are. And so I'm trying to appeal to that and say, look, do you want Taylor Swift safe? Do you want to be able to attend concerts even outside of America and not face increased threats of terrorism? Then you need to vote for Donald Trump. So that is what I'm trying to appeal to. Of course, some of them are going to say no, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Alex, well, we have you here. I love to say this at parties and give people the white pill about the fact that there are many people in the Gen Z who are not religious but have come to more socially conservative viewpoints than most mainstream Christians, especially among males. Not a ton, right? But do you know what I'm talking about? And do you have any thoughts about that? About why you do have this subset of Gen Z who really, without conservatism, Inc. or religion, is making this turn to especially a social sort of conservatism?
Yeah, I think we're really seeing that with teen boys, right? So last August, they did a huge study and saw that young men in high school were trending increasingly conservative. And I think that makes sense. I think that's a rebellion against what has been going on in modern culture in the last 10 years, where we've been trending really liberal. We've been really punishing true healthy masculinity. And I think that's a natural instinct for men to be like, I don't like this. This is all a retaliation of boys who grew up under the Me Too movement and the Hillary Clinton girl boss type of feminism era that were basically just trying to edge men out of society completely, having a say in anything, just completely demonizing them. And I think this is kind of a retaliation to that and being like, no, we deserve a place here, which is, of course, true. Both men and women deserve a say and should be treated equally. The problem is, of course, with historical mainstream mainstream feminism is you're not. They try to say like, well, we just want equality within the sexes. That's not true. You want a complete takeover of women only, and for men to be kicked to the dredges outside of society completely.
Right, and I think if you can talk a little bit more about that. I heard the host of This Old House was on with Mike Rowe, and he was talking about what it's like for his boys at a Catholic school, actually, growing up, how they kind of just stop male activities and say, that's bad, you don't want to do that. I think that maybe our boomer audience, who these are their grandkids, might not understand what actually has been going on in schools and how young men have been almost made into second-class citizens. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences growing up in the school system at that point in time and kind of what they've been doing and that's led to what you've said has happened?
Well, I can speak to this. I know for me, I'm a millennial, so I grew up with like the last bit of normalcy, I think, in public schools. And I did grow up in public schools, but now, you've got teachers pointing to your white students in class, especially your white males in class, and saying you need to apologize to, the black student sitting next to you for your privilege. Those are the types of things that they're teaching as young as kindergarten now. Told that you are less than, that you need to apologize, and then it's following them all the way into the workplace. So now when you have Gen Z and millennials in the workplace, usually the younger people in the office, they're being told things like, if you can, it would be nice if you could pay the rent of your black coworker. So these are the types of things that are happening constantly. And I know that the liberal media doesn't like to talk about it. And so that's why you have kind of like low information voters in America. They say that this is all conservative conspiracies, that it's not really happening, that there's no such thing as, kid family friendly drag shows happening around the United States. It's happening everywhere. The problem is that you get a lot of that news on X, where Elon Musk is running things, so he's allowing free speech again. And these types of stories are being completely censored on apps like Facebook and Instagram and taken down, which is typically where the older generations now are getting their news, or of course mainstream cable TV, which they're definitely not covering it. So most people now across all generations, I think, are getting their news on social media. It's just that different age groups use different platforms. And the places that you're going to get real news are going to be on independent news forums like this with The Blaze, or being on a site like X. And just a lot of boomers have not signed up there. So you're missing a lot of this stuff.